Hey, welcome back. My name is James Johnson, and my expertise lies in retirement and estate planning. And today I want to talk to you about something called your circle of wealth. Now, what your circle of wealth is it's all of the things that you have in your life that you would consider wealth. And if you're like everybody else I've ever met, you're trying to make your circle bigger. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Now, your circle of wealth is made up of three types of money. It's made up of what's called accumulated money. And this is all the money that you've accumulated in your lifetime. It's your stocks, your bonds, your mutual funds, your house, your 401k, your IRA, your life insurance, your annuities, gold, silver, cryptocurrency, all that stuff. All right. Then down here we have this money, which is our lifestyle money. And the question I always ask is, how much time would you like to spend today on sacrificing your lifestyle? And if you know me and you've been around me for any length of time, you know that my motto is live like you're going to die tomorrow and plan like you're going to live forever. So the very last thing that I want to do is sacrifice my lifestyle. I want to continue living the lifestyle I've become accustomed to. Yet I want to continue to build for my future so that when I hit retirement, that I have paychecks coming in that will keep me in the lifestyle I've become accustomed to, adjusted for inflation and taxes, and not run out of money over my and my spouse's lifetime, and pass on as much money as I possibly can in the most tax advantage way. That's a mouthful. So the third thing that's here is that transferred money. And this is the money that most people are transferring unknowingly and unnecessarily out of their life. Now, if I can find money that you're transferring unknowingly and unnecessarily out of your life, the question is will you save it? So I'm going to show you where this happens. And when we sit down to do your free strategy session, I will show you where you're doing it at. So what happens when you're doing these wealth transfers is you lose what's called opportunity cost. And that's the money you could have made on that money had you had that money working in the right places. Now, the 6 places that we transfer that money is we transferred it in mortgages, qualified plans, college funding, taxes, protection, and major purchases. So we're going to cover just a couple of these today. We could go in here and spend hours talking about each and every one of these, but we'll talk a little bit about mortgages and how people pay for their house. Now, what happens is that when people pay for their house, the potential for major wealth transfer is huge. And so the first thing that you really need to understand is this, is first, it costs money to live indoors. And then the second thing is this, is that you finance everything you buy. Either you use your money to finance it or you use other people's money to finance it, as in going to a bank and financing it that way. So when we go out here to buy this house, depending upon how we pay for it, we'll make a determination in how much of a wealth transfer that we have over that period of time. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're buying a $500,000 home, which seems to be pretty much normal these days, and your interest rate is 4%. And I know for many of you now, if you're trying to get a mortgage, that's even higher. But for most of you, you've managed to lock in less than a 4% rate at this point. And let's say the term of that loan is 30 years. Well, what that means is that on a 30-year loan of $500,000 at 4%, you would pay $359,348 in interest on that loan over the 30 years. Now, if you took that money and instead of doing that, you took and invested that money out over here, let's say you had $500,000 in cash, that you could have bought that house with cash, but instead you financed it at 4%, and you took that $500,000 out and you invested it at 6%, what would happen is that would create $2,397,854. And just doing some quick math here, that's about a $2,042,000 heir over the 30-year period of time. So the interesting thing about that is the wealth transfer. That's the money we were transferring unknowingly and unnecessarily. Now, we could go into why you don't make extra principal payments and why you should be putting that into a tax-free account and working for you, why you never pay cash for your house, why reverse mortgages make sense, why a lot of things make sense. but we're talking here about wealth transfer and what's the best way to pay for your house. Many people make these decisions based on an emotional thought and not a mathematical one. This is the math of it. And when you see the math, it begins to make sense as to why you wouldn't do that. So remember, there are 6 ways that we transfer money unknowingly and unnecessarily. First being mortgages, the qualified plans, college funding, taxes, protection, and major purchases. Now, the second major area that people transfer money is in how they fund their qualified plans. And I think that the biggest part here is what we call linguistic marketing, in that people are linguistically marketed to every single day. They keep telling the same thing over and over and over and over again. And people have a tendency to believe that which is not necessarily true, or they paint themselves into that same box that they're trying to get you into, which isn't necessarily true. So what they said to you is they said that you should put your money inside of a tax deferred account because you're growing money you would have otherwise paid in taxes. And in the end, you'll have more money because you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. Well, I submit to you that that's probably not true. And I actually submit to you that you should hope it's not true. But, we'll kind of cover that a little bit. The thing is that you're not really deferring the taxes. What you're doing is you're postponing the taxes out to a point in time where you don't know what the rate is going to be. Now, if you understood a little bit more about taxes, you might be reconsidering that idea of postponing taxes, and you might want to just pay the taxes today and put your money away in a tax-free account. So let's take a little look at what taxes have looked like over history, all right? And if we look here, the history of taxes, the highest income taxes have ever been since the inception of the temporary income tax and the establishment of the IRS in 1913 has been 94%. Currently, we're sitting over here at 37%, and our average over that period of time has been 56%. Now, that's not even the scary part. The scary part is this over here. If I look at the national debt clock today, I can see that right now, as we speak, and we're here on June 16th of 2022, the national debt is $30 trillion, $500 billion upside down. Now, in addition to that, we've spent $1.8 trillion more than we actually brought in, all right? And, I don't know if you ran your life like that, you might have a small problem, I would think. Now, in addition to that, we have down here, at this section down here, we have what's called the unfunded deficit for Social Security, Medicare, and prescription drugs down in the bottom right corner of $169 trillion, $909 billion. That number will soon be topping the 170, which means that if we put that together with our national debt, we're $200 trillion upside down. Now, I would ask you this. If we're $200 trillion upside down and our average top marginal tax bracket has been 57% since the inception of the temporary income tax, and currently we're sitting at 37%, and basically we're at the lowest tax rates we've ever been in history, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the taxes will be lower, higher, or same in the future, and do you want to pay them? So the real question here is not what's happening taxes, where taxes are going. The question is, where are you going to be when it comes time to make your calculations to take this money out? And what most people are very surprised to find out is they're going to be in at least the same tax bracket, if not a higher tax bracket. Now, I want you to make no mistake. If you're putting money inside of a 401k, 403b, 457, or any other ERISA plan where your company is matching the money, you really need to put in up to that match. Beyond there, it's an open debate for whether we should be doing it or not. So the real question comes is, should we really be deferring taxes, not only the taxes, but the calculation out to a point in the future where we don't know what it is? And the key to having a strategy session with us is to figure out, where am I going to land in taxes later on down the road? Because you see, in order to retire, you have to have one thing. That's a paycheck. And without a paycheck, you're simply not retiring. And so for most people, their paychecks will come from Social Security, pension if they're lucky enough to have one, rental properties possibly, and then it's going to come off of all of their assets that they've accumulated, such as their IRAs, 401ks, etc. And almost all of those things are taxable, and they're going to get rid of their four biggest tax write-offs, which is paying into their qualified plans, three biggest tax write-offs, the write-off on their house and their taxes, which they may or may not have, and kicking the kids out of the house. So even though they might be making less money, often they're in the same or higher tax bracket. So with that being said, and we look at this, what you want to do is you want to seek to put yourself in control of your money, not having some institution controlling your money or the government controlling your money. You want to control your money going forward when it comes to retirement. Now, if you've ever played tic-tac-toe in your life, you know that it's a relatively easy game to win. But the key with tic-tac-toe is the first time you played it, who won the game? And the answer is the person that showed you how to play the game, because they knew how to play the game. And retirement is no different than that. What happens with retirement in so many people's cases is what they're doing is they're out spending all of their time buying what we like to call the clubs, rather than doing what I'm trying to teach you right now, which is teaching you how to swing the club. You see, the swing is much more important than the club itself. What you invest in is not nearly as important as how you invest. Whether you grow in tax as you go, tax deferred, or tax free is going to make a considerable difference in what your income looks like going forward in the future. So remember that in your circle of wealth, you've got your circle of wealth, and many people are transferring money in the areas of interest, debt, taxes, and opportunity cost on their money. And you could grow your money to be considerably more than it is if you just get your swing right. So remember, three types of money: accumulated money, lifestyle money, and transferred money. You definitely don't want to change your lifestyle, but you'd sure like to find out where you're transferring that money unknowingly and unnecessarily, and start routing that money to a more positive, tax-free environment. Now, real quickly, how do you fill a bucket with holes in it? So if you've got a bucket here where you're trying to put your income in and you're trying to grow it, and your bucket's got holes in it, such as debt, opportunity cost, interest, taxes, the trick is to plug the holes. And once you plug those holes, you're going to start to accelerate out into a tax-free, safe environment with a guaranteed income stream that you can't outlive. So remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Follow us on LinkedIn. Reach out to us at any time. Visit our website at www.yoursafemoneypeople.com. Go on, set up an appointment with us. It's no cost, no obligation to find out how to improve your retirement. Remember to live like you're going to die tomorrow and plan like you're going to live forever, because you just might. Keep smiling, and we'll see you really soon.